Hi everyone, welcome again to Hi Videocast. We are back at it again, another week, another videocast. And today, as we've been doing for the previous videocast, we have a very special guest with us, and also Natalie. Natalie is here with us again,
Yeah.
and also André Costa. He's here with us to talk a little bit about AI and his relation with UX, working with AI as an UX designer. André is a teacher and an entrepreneur and is related to this AI and UX thing. And today he's here to talk a little bit about this with us. So, hi, André, how are you?
Hi everybody.
And Natalie has already introduced himself to the high interactivers today. So, yeah, let's start with the questions, Andre and Natalie. Today we are going to talk a little bit about AI. But first, I wanted to ask Andre if you can briefly introduce yourself to the ones who are listening to us and talk a little bit about your background in UX design and also your experience with AI-driven projects.
Yeah, sure. As you said, I'm currently a teacher, digital product design, UI, UX, and Python. I have a background of academic research since 2021 in human computer interaction and human AI interaction. In the past, I worked as UX consultant for Apple Maps Europe and Apple Maps Portugal, and UX analyst for several global brand projects like Hugo Boss, Ford, among others. I started my career as a UX UI web designer freelance, where I had the opportunity to work with several small and medium companies in Portugal, Ireland, and UK.
Okay.
Now, my passion is to teach and to help leaders, organizations, and professionals to be more efficient with AI while maintaining secure, ethical practices.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you have a lot to share with us.
Yeah, and
I hope
also
so. I hope so.
yeah, and also related to this UX part, that's where we want to focus today. And that leads me to another question that I have, like, because you've talked about your experience and you said that you help these people working with AI. So, how do you feel that like UX designers, like Natalie, for example, strike a balance between efficiency and human-like interactions in conversational AI? How is that possible?
So, to design CIs, interfaces, conversational interfaces, it's very important to understand the user needs, the user task, and the comfort level with technology, but mainly with this kind of interfaces. So, in some aspects, we may have a user that want to make a transactional task, like even using Google. A lot of users are using this kind of technology sometimes, as they are used to use tools like Google. And when we have an interface that is capable to offer an efficient and fast response to this kind of user, but also a more human-like and structured conversational interface to your user that have a more complex task and even a more knowledge of this kind of interfaces. You have the sweet spot, because you have to balance this kind of user needs and user comfort levels in the same platform. So that's very important to understand at first user
Okay.
needs, user task, user context, and his level of comfort using this kind of technology.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think the ones that also got it. But yeah. And how do you feel that like AI can be leveraged to enhance user research? Let's talk about user research, for instance. Like, and how we improve the understanding of the user behaviors and preferences with AI.
Sure. In more simpler and direct way, everybody can do it. We have done it in our course of AI design, the future designer, which I had the opportunity to work with Natalie, present here. We can use several tools. One of them is ChatGPT, but we have more specific tools like Figma plugin, like Coco, which allows designers to produce in an early stage of design, produce a lot of insights with volume and creativity, a lot of cases, flows, personas, a lot of insights. But in the other stages of the design, AI can be really useful because with AI, we can process a lot of data that we cannot process with the conventional tools. We also have tools like sentiment analysis, machine learning, AI tools that we can employ in user data to get some new insights, some very specific insights, and that that some of the tasks that a designer can, it's not typical to make in a typical design thinking or design other kind of design processes.
Okay.
So AI is will be very important in user research because the amount of data that can extract and analyze it's much higher than what we had before until now that
Yes.
designers do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's an improvement for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it will help us to, well, in that big amount of content that we can collect in several research activities like interviews, user testing. We can use AI technology to help us quickly identify patterns and trends and in user behaviors that may be challenging to uncover manually. So it can help us to automate those kinds of activities.
yeah.
Yeah.
And patterns are a main thing because it's the specific AI task that can be really valuable identifying patterns in a thousands of informations, which would be hard without this kind of tools. We can even imagine information, create information that doesn't even exist now, which may be really fun and useful to
Mhm.
do in an early stage of design because generative AI, as we are, which is more in the hype right now, tools like ChatGPT can generate new information with the same structure, but with totally new information that doesn't even exist at this moment. So we can use it to imagine or to role play what we need for our tool or for our design process.
Okay. Is that related to the ability to predict behavior or help us defining user profiles, like with based on behavior and
Sure.
preferences, demographics, help us develop personas and uh, target design decisions with that information.
We
And
can, but we have to separate two kinds of AI.
okay,
Generative AI, which it's tools like ChatGPT use,
mhm.
which can generate new information with the same structure. So we can make a persona and we can ask ChatGPT or other tools to create more two personas with that same structure, but different personas that can make sense for our tool. Then
Okay,
we
a
have
specific prompt,
deterministic
right?
AI. Yeah. Then we have deterministic AI, which is another kind of AI which ChatGPT and other tools don't use at this moment, where we can put data and make predictions and determine what the output would be.
Will be, yeah.
The combination of these tools, of course, is very potent,
Yeah.
but at this moment we are using, and when we talk of AI, most of the people of the users and designers will think is thinking about generative AI, which is what the technology that ChatGPT uses.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm sure that like doing things fully with AI in this user research part, sure it may have. And I remember this because we spoke about this in previous videocasts. That we are sure that like there must be any limitations or drawbacks while doing this or using only AI. And I wanted to ask you what they are, and Andrea and Natalie, and how you as designers can overcome them.
Uh, yes, they exist. So we can start with AI biases, which is a thing that will be it's a concern for the future, since humans teach AI and humans are biased. So AI probably
Mhm.
will have some kind of biases that we don't want to perpetuate, like all the things that already exists in our society that maybe not accordingly with our will not we don't want to improve it because AI makes everybody everything bigger, faster. So we don't want to put that kind of biases in the AI. But we also have a lot of privacy concerns. So in some of the formations that I give to leaders, one of the aspects which I can help them is to anonymize the information, because if we are taking decisions, important decisions, we may not want to put all the information in a system we can't control, which is a shared system normally, like for a company like OpenAI. So it's difficult to balance what I give to AI to have a good uh, answer, but I don't want to give information that will go straight to my to the other person's answers, which other persons may be my competition.
Okay.
Or if I'm designing an innovative product, uh, probably I want to use AI, but I don't want to share all the innovations that I'm making. So it's hard to balance the privacy with the use of AI, but also over reliance on AI would be a critical aspect for this kind of work. We always must have AI as a complementary tool for designer and never as a substitute for the designer. So
Yeah.
we not over reliance on AI system that could be and is so much times wrong. Uh,
Yeah. The- and that's one of the main I must say problems with AI. That's like building trust, because sometimes we over rely on it, and sometimes we get that trust feeling is going a bit down with the AI driven interactions. So, and like that's a battle that I think AI systems need to overcome, and UX designers can help do so. Like, how do you feel that like UX designers can build that trust and confidence on AI driven products and systems?
yeah, I agree. It's critical in a system that's independent, that's intelligent, to create a reliable and trustworthy system to interact with the human. So, first of all, it is something that is one of the main things that we are teaching at this moment in AI design is the guidelines that are being developed by Microsoft researchers, now by Google, and that I really suggest that all the designers study and apply to their projects. I share that consistently in LinkedIn. I also share in my website, superhumano.ie, where I share these guidelines with some notes and with some tips. So when we apply these guidelines, we create a system which is predictable, which explains all the decisions, which explains what is doing, what kind of data is consuming, and lets human takes the last word. Let's human override the AI decision at any moment. Also, very important, let's user give a granular feedback. In each action, user can give the feedback if it's okay, if it's not okay. So in real time, the system can adapt and overcome the error or the information that is not correct to a more correct and user expectative experience. So it's very important. All the systems must be well designed, of course, but in these kind of systems, there are a set of guidelines, principles, design principles that we really have to took in consideration in order to create this kind of system that I can trust, that can have really good error handling because it will be happening all the time, and that this is some things that don't happen in a deterministic system, in a system where the first click that I do, I know I have one result possible, like a static website. It is deterministic. Nothing can happen different than what's there. And in AI systems, they are non-deterministic. So there, if I make a question, I will have an answer. If you make the same question, you will have probably have another answer. So this is a very, very important role or information that designer could bring to
Can
his.
we say that we have a new paradigm in UX with AI? Because uh, if before we, and for the last 60 years, I think we have a interface with options, and to have an outcome we always need to click on something or uh, make an interaction. Now with AI we will have different ways to interact with something that could not be a interface, but could be a voice system or other thing. And can we say that we have a lot of um, a lot of space as UX designer to learn and to help uh, our customers to create experience that take all these new ways of uh, interact with things, because it's a multimodal experience. It's just not an interface with in a screen with a device. um, what is your opinion in that regard?
Yeah, I think so, Natalie. The maybe I'm being kind of idealistic dreamer, but 20 years ago, no one would imagine that the marketing manager would be the CEO of a company. Was not the marketing was not that important. So nowadays, most of the CEOs or the C level are from marketing, some kind of digital marketing, but it becomes very important, and that kind of professionals, which combines the customer with the company and the product, and a very have important place role in the companies. Now we are getting to a new era, an era where the customer is less of a customer and more than a user of our interface, and the designer is the one who best knows the user, who best knows the user needs. So most of all, the designer's role with AI is getting much more wider. The designer will have to learn technical capabilities and combine them with the empathy, with the user needs, understanding, and of course with the creativity that already have. But we'll have roles so different as training AI. If we want AI to recognize a pattern, if we want to recognize a cat, we'll need to have a designer putting millions of images of a cat. So we'll have to train the AI, and designers will have or can have this role of training AI, which will be a major role in AI development. But not only this, as educating user to use AI. Nobody best than the UX designer, and this role, this much more wider role that the designer will be taking on this new era to not only design the interfaces with a lot of AI tools, which will be more faster, probably will need less hands, less designers in these aspects. But then we have a lot of areas. We'll have transparency, trust, ethical. We have to see and manage all the content that IE will be creating in these platforms. It will be all automatic images, content that someone will have to tune and to manage, and probably this will be the future designer role, and will be a major role in the companies, which will probably will lead the designer to the decision roles, because you can only have trustworthy and ethical and transparent IE system by design. By design, and when I say by design, I say by the top design of the tool that we want to build. And that's very important that when we are talking of build, in the first day that we are talking of build an AI tool, that we have the designers in that room because they know the user and they will advocate for the user. They will be the bridge between people, society, users, and the AI system.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's a new paradigm. Will be a total different um, designer of the future in very few years.
Yes, and one aspect that I think it's really important, it's the lack of contextual understanding that, well, for now that we have on AI tools that may struggle to comprehend complex user context or and could lead to misinterpretations or inaccurate insights. And we will be there working like in a collaborative way with uh, human and AI interaction to guarantee that what we collect, it will include that context, that empathy part that we as humans can collect working with AI as well.
Sure, agree, because the technology will be more complex in the future with a lot more of capabilities of with what we are seeing. We are seeing a UX revolution in ChatGPT, not properly a high technology revolution. It was more the capability of the team to give an interface, intuitive and easy to use interface for the IE than the IE itself. Because as we talked in our courses, the ChatGPT was made based on a model of Google 2017, which are, of course, uh, always improving, but was available since the end of middle end of 2022 and haven't generated such a hype. So the hype and the 100 million of users arised when they put in a very complex technology in a simple line with a lot of the guidelines that we talked today that make that system predictable and make user understand what that system do in a simple way. And that's when boom, ChatGPT all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like as you've talked about these capabilities, and I'm sure like you've touched these points during this conversation, but like how these AI capabilities can be used by UX designers to meet users' expectations and needs, because at the end of the day, it's all about that, right?
Yes, nowadays we are seeing a lot of IE first products that are being put in the market to show the capabilities of AI or to show how how tech is that company, and that's the wrong way to do it. So AI should understand, have a really deep comprehension about the user needs, the user problem, and just solve that problem in a concrete way. Then it can expand for other areas or other secondary functions. But at the first, it's very important. The really the center of this question is to understand, have a really good comprehension of user needs, user context, user comfort level with the technology, so we can create interface that meets that kind of that level of tech comfort and resolve users' problem. Not showing what AI can do. We have a lot of tools. AI can do a lot of things. We have 20, 30 options, but we really probably we use one, which is the main problem that system can resolve. So it's very important start from the beginning and not follow that startup trend that started like 10 years ago, where we do something very tech, very cool, and then we find problems that can solve. And as we know, that doesn't work good in several companies, even banks, startup banks as bankrupt in USA. So we should not make a cool AI tool and then see what we can solve with that. We should have a user problem. We should know how user interacts with technology, so we know if we make a voice interface, if we make a graphical interface, if we can dream about making a augmented reality or virtual reality interface, and then we solve that problem with trust, with efficiency, because that's why we need IE to solve that problem with efficiency. And then we go from there to other secondary tasks.
Yeah, we should identify AI-driven features that genuinely solve user problems and align with their goals, and not the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I agree totally.
And
But of course, in this race to AI, we are seeing a lot of AI tools that they are not really useful and that they will not have a major impact in this.
okay, and you have some examples to support it. Like, can you share examples of a product where the UX designers team successfully navigated through these challenges that we are talking about? Okay.
Sure. We talked about. We have to talk about ChatGPT because it really nailed it. The work that has been done in the previous years. Because when you go to ChatGPT, one of the first thing you see is some examples of what you can ask because you arrive to a tool which has a lot of capabilities and you don't even know where to start, and you have some examples. Then you have some capabilities. They explain you what the AI can do, but they also explain you what AI can't do. And that's not very normal in a app. We don't open our normal apps from the phone and we see, attention, this app don't do this. But ChatGPT does because it knows that it brings trust. I have to know the level of certainty that I can put in an AI system. And ChatGPT does that very well. Also, have all the personalization tasks, have the human capability, even when you use automatic plugins like plugins to send emails. We always see the email first, edit what we want, and send. So we will always have the capability to override the AI's decisions. A lot of these principles are very important and make 200 million people almost already trust ChatGPT. But we have others, like we can see in Alexa, that have to navigate through a voice command that should suit a lot of user needs, but also privacy concerns. So we can see physical things because it's not always digital or code. We can see a button where you can shut down completely the microphone. If you don't want to shut down, you can also shut down digitally and you see when the mic is on or when the mic is off. And that gives us a level of comfort to the user, who can at any moment in a button, physic button, turn off the mic and knows that that equipment doesn't is recording. The mic is off.
It's
Also,
sorry. Go
yes,
ahead. No, I was just comment what you were saying about user control, right? We are using the capabilities of AI, the technology, but user we should guarantee that user keeps on control to build trust. And like, if I, for example, I work have an app with several plans. I can customize those plans, but I can overwrite that decisions and, well, choose different things from what are being suggested
yes,
to.
and that's very important. And there's something you cannot, strangely, even find in deterministic apps that sometimes generate a result that you cannot easily edit and change, which now sounds very strange. At the same time, user control and never saying user is wrong is some of the rules of the IE, and that's why in the beginning, if you put 2 plus 2 in ChatGPT, it would say that the result is 4, but if you say no, the result is 5, late in the beginning, ChatGPT would tell you, yes, you were right, 2 plus 2, it's 5. Now it doesn't say it's 5, but doesn't say you are wrong. It talks to you in a manner that you check your founds. It's possible to be 5, but I don't know how. So it was funny in the beginning because you were always right, because never is programmed to never see or inputs human error. The another example that I normally provide is a very intelligent app before the ChatGPT, which is Google Photos. And Google Photos at the same times create albums, have face recognition, high AI tech, creates albums based on the plays, suggests you edition in the photos, but at the same time as the intuitive work of a conventional app. Never you think about, oh, I will turn IE because it's not making my app function right. Is there, you use, if you can, most of the people of users used IE without even knowing, which is great, because statistics say that 77% of people use IE, but only a third, 30%, knows that are using IE. And that's a major example. No one would say that when we talked about IE, no, almost no one would say Google Photos, but that's a good sign, because you use IE and you don't even notice. So it's a great example where you can have a great user interface with an intuitive user experience and using AI capabilities.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. And like going to our last question, Andrea and Natali, I wanted to ask you the question that I've been asking for the previous videocast, and it's like, how do you see a future with this continued integration of AI in UX design? How do you see it evolving?
Natalie, if you want, you can
Yeah.
start.
Well, from my little knowledge and from what I learned from you in our classes, Andre, I think that, well, one point that we already talked here today is AI co-creation. So we should use those tools to help us um, to leverage and generate design options, generate prototypes, and automate repetitive design tasks, and free us to focus on the real problem solving and to real solve more complex problems of our users of the product that we
Yeah.
could be working at the moment. Other thing that we already talked about at the beginning, the conversational interfaces enable natural and interactions with the users, like voice assistants, chatbots, understand how to respond in a human way with emotions,
Hmm.
with empathic human conversations. Um, Other thing that we already talked about, the multimodal experiences. We will not just have a screen with buttons and with the interface to interact with. We will have um, AR, VR, voice gestures to help us interact with different not devices but things in
Yeah.
all around us. Um, and well, the how we as UX designers can help those new ways of interact build trust with users. That was something that we already talked about, and well, continue to learning uh, um, from user interactions, how they are using and how with AI we can give a better response for users to do the things that they need to do in day-to-day life.
Yeah, I agree. That and of course the symbiosis between AI and design will be even higher in the future. Also, personalized AI interfaces. So interfaces that when you use AI, start designing a different interface for each of user will be also is also probably a trend for the future.
Okay. And I think it's an interesting point of view for the both of you. Like, and I'm sure that the ones that really enjoyed this conversation. I wanted to thank you, Andre and Natalie, for this great conversation and for this video cast. I'm sure that we possibly can make a part two.
We still have a lot to talk.
What
A lot to say
yeah, but
about
like, but to see if what we predicted today will be applied on the future. That would be really, really interesting to see this evolving. So yeah, and for the ones at home, if you have any type of question, you can always drop them on the comment section. Me, Natalie, and even Andre can answer to all of your questions throughout this video cast. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe Interactive's YouTube channel, to check Andrea's website that he mentioned during this video cast. We are also putting it on the description of this video. And yeah, take care. See you on the next video cast. And yeah, bye bye.
Thanks for
bye bye everybody.
being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me
Yeah, no problem. It's
and
always a
for
pleasure.
this cool conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye
See you on
bye.
another one. Bye.
Bye.